He lived free for 46 years. No one suspected him. File opened. Case number 001, Carla Walker. She was still in her dance dress when she was found. 3 days after Valentine's Day. A culvert, Lake Benbrook, Texas, 17 years old. Her killer? He went home that night. He got married. He had children. He mowed his lawn. He hid in plain sight. He had neighbors who called him a good man. This is not a story about a monster who hid well. This is a case study in missed chances and eventual precision. February 17, 1974, Fort Worth, Texas. Carla Jan Walker, 17, well known in her community. From a risk perspective, a completely low-risk target. That Saturday evening, she attended a Valentine's Day dance at Western Hills High School with her boyfriend, Rodney McCoy. The dance ended. The night was young. Rodney drove Carla to the parking lot of Brunswick Ridgely Bowl nearby. They sat in his car. Then, a man appeared. He opened the car door. There was a sudden confrontation. Rodney lost consciousness during the struggle. Rodney's last memory, Carla screaming for help as an unknown white male, approximately 5 feet 10 inches tall, forced her away into the dark. When Rodney regained consciousness, she was gone. Blood still running down his face, he drove to her house. He rushed to the door, told her family what happened. The search began immediately. 3 days later, February 20th, 1974, Carla's body was found in a culvert near Lake Benbrook. Investigators confirmed she had been held for 2 days before her life was taken. She was 17 years old. The search was over, but the real question had just begun. Who took her? This was 1974. The answer wouldn't come for 46 more years. Police worked the case immediately. They had evidence, clothing, biological samples from the scene. They had suspects. One name appeared early, Glen Samuel McCurley. He owned a handgun. The magazine from that weapon was found at Brunswick Ridgely Bowl, the spot where Carla was taken. Detectives brought McCurley in for questioning. He had an explanation. He said the gun had been stolen from his truck approximately 6 weeks before the incident. He hadn't reported it because he was an ex-convict, and reporting a stolen weapon would have created problems for him. His wife, he said, was out of town that night. Then, he agreed to take a polygraph test. He passed it. Glen Samuel McCurley was eliminated as a suspect. He walked out of that interview room and lived a free man for the next 46 years. Meanwhile, Carla's brother Jim Walker was 12 years old when she was taken. He grew up carrying what he described as silent anger and rage. He buried both his father and his mother, without them ever finding resolution. The case went cold, but it was never forgotten. McCurley walked free. For now. 46 years. One cold case file. One private DNA lab. Everything was about to change. In April 2020, Carla's story was featured on Oxygen's The DNA of Murder with Paul Holes. Shortly after the episode aired, investigators connected with Othram Inc., a private DNA laboratory based in the Woodlands, Texas. DNA recovered from Carla's clothing, preserved for nearly half a century, was sent for analysis. Othram developed a full DNA profile. That profile was run through genealogy databases. The search narrowed to 3 brothers, all with the last name McCurley, the same name from the 1974 case file. In July 2020, detectives collected items from a trash receptacle outside McCurley's residence. The items were consistent with the DNA profile. On September 10, 2020, investigators visited McCurley's home. He invited them inside. He told the same story he had told in 1974. He didn't know Carla Walker. He voluntarily provided a DNA cheek swab. 6 days later, the swab matched the DNA found on Carla's clothing. After 46 years, the truth had caught up. On September 21, 2020, Glen Samuel McCurley, 77 years old, was arrested and charged. McCurley went to trial in August 2021, and that is when the final story collapsed. He said his handgun was stolen in 1974. He maintained that story for 46 years. Evidence presented in court included that same weapon, found inside his home. It was never stolen. It was never gone. Faced with the evidence, he changed his plea. Guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. When Jim Walker heard the news of the arrest, 4 words came to mind. Thank you, Jesus. Finally. Glen Samuel McCurley never served his full sentence. On July 15, 2023, he died at the Gibb Lewis unit in Woodville, Texas. Carla Walker's case didn't just bring one family answers, it inspired the Carla Walker Act, federal legislation to support advanced DNA technology for cold cases across America. Because there are thousands of families like the Walkers, still waiting, still hoping. If you believe stories like this deserve to be told, stay with us, because many more families are still waiting. Carla Walker finally got her answer. File closed. Justice logged.